Well, the late Queen Elizabeth II's eldest son, now King Charles III, will return to London today. Britain's Queen Elizabeth II passed away yesterday at Balmoral in Scotland at the age of 96. Let's bring in our UK correspondent for the latest, Makin Isherwood, who joins us now live from Windsor. Laura, a good morning to you, and thank you so much for giving us your time. I think there certainly is no surprise what the atmosphere would feel like in Windsor and in the UK right now, but how really do you describe the atmosphere?
There's definitely a sense of surprise and shock, I think, to be honest. A lot of people did not expect this to happen. Of course, we only saw pictures of Her Majesty the Queen a few days ago when she welcomed in the new Prime Minister of the UK, Liz Truss. There was that photograph of her standing. She had a walking stick, she was leaning on it, but she was smiling, and she did seem to be in really good spirits as she performed that kissing of the hand ceremony, where it is the official welcoming of the new Prime Minister, and the Queen invites them to form a new government. But clearly in the 2 days that followed that meeting with Liz Truss, her health did deteriorate somewhat. We knew that she'd decided to pull out of a planned meeting with council members and government officials that was set to be held virtually because of her health issues, the doctors telling her that she should rest. And then we heard just yesterday morning that statement from Buckingham Palace saying that medical officials were concerned for her. So the time really between that announcement from Buckingham Palace, that statement, to the formal announcement of her death appeared to be quite short. And then the hours following it, late last night, people were still streaming up the Mall here towards Buckingham Palace to lay flowers at the gates of Buckingham Palace. The flag is flying at half-mast, and more people are coming now holding bouquets of flowers, clearly wanting to pay their own respects to Queen Elizabeth II.
Yeah, and I think last night when we saw the statement also being shared in South Africa coming from Buckingham Palace, a lot of South Africans quite surprised that you already have King Charles being addressed as King Charles. So explain to us how that works, that immediately with the passing of the Queen, he automatically becomes king, and also the program and what it means for him now. I believe he's also to meet with the Prime Minister.
Yes, absolutely. So as soon as Queen Elizabeth II passed away, then the throne and the crown is immediately passed on to the next in line to it, and that is King Charles III, as he will be known. He spent last night at Balmoral Castle in Scotland with his wife Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, who will be known as the Queen Consort, and they are travelling back to London today, where they will meet with Privy Councillors at St James's Palace, which is just to my left here. They will then meet and basically officially announce him as the king, although he won't have his coronation for some time yet. There will be some time for that to be put in place. At the moment, a lot of the focus is now on what happens in the next 10 days leading up to the funeral for Queen Elizabeth II. It's going to take place at Westminster Abbey, just a stone's throw from me, just in that direction. That will take place in 10 days' time. There will be a 2-minute silence held there, and there will be a lot of pomp, a lot of ceremony surrounding it, military processions. There will be MPs, politicians all attending, as well as heads of state from around the world. And you said about King Charles III meeting with the Prime Minister today. That will be after he has come back to London. He's also expected to address the nation as well. So his first speech in his new role as the King of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what happens with the body of the Queen. I believe that she is essentially being moved soon as well on the royal train. I mean, what happens, what unfolds now with her remains?
So this is all taking place under something that's been codenamed Operation Unicorn. So because Queen Elizabeth II has died in Scotland, we understand that her body will lie in state there for a few days before being brought back to London. It's expected to travel by train. If a train isn't possible, then that will change to an aircraft that will be used to then transport Queen Elizabeth II's body back to London. It will be received by members of the royal family, also members of Parliament as well, and probably the Prime Minister and high-level staff within the government. And then, as I've said, she will be then moved and placed to lie in state in London within the Houses of Parliament in a really the oldest part of the Parliament called Westminster Hall. So the public will be allowed to come past her and they will be able to go and pay their respects to her independently.
Yeah, obviously we're seeing messages streaming in from all across the world. Here in South Africa, you've had the Zulu Kingdom send their messages of condolences all the way up to the presidency, and as well as the Mandela royal family in South Africa. And I'm sure that those are really being looked at. But what are we seeing physically in terms of the arrival of perhaps delegates wanting to share their condolences? What is that looking like? And I think a lot of questions around whether or not we're going to see Meghan Markle making an appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. And Prince Harry headed up to Balmoral Castle independently on his own. He was separate from his brother, who flew up on a jet. Instead, it looks like Prince Harry travelled separately there. We thought that Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, would go to Scotland, but in the end, the decision was made for her to remain in London. We haven't seen anything from her. Whether or not there will be some sort of statement released by Prince William and Prince Harry is not clear at all. Perhaps they'll wait for the formalities surrounding their father, the new king, to get underway and be processed first before they make any public statement themselves. But you're right about the dignitaries as well, and the other heads of state from around the world, as well as, of course, the Commonwealth, of which the Queen was the head. There have been plans in place for decades for this day and this momentous occasion to take place. There will be hotels that are primed and ready to receive those guests. They will be booked out completely and they will be packed. So there's a lot of London that will be basically becoming a hub for these leaders of different countries, these delegates, to convene and also be able to pay their respects to Her Majesty the Queen and eventually attend this memorial service.
Yeah, well, we'll be looking out for when King Charles III does address the nation today. Laura, our correspondent there, speaking to us from Windsor. That's Laura Makin Isherwood. Let's continue now with the agenda and look at other news. So mourners have gathered outside Buckingham Palace in the United Kingdom to sing the national anthem following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen died yesterday afternoon at Balmoral in Scotland at the age of 96. She was the longest reigning monarch in the United Kingdom after being the nation's figurehead for 7 decades. The royal family says in a statement, the King and the Queen Consort will return to London today